we should be good now.
Cool.
Alright, and we're live, so.
Oh, well, there we go.
Right. Welcome everyone to the top 32 game between Shosuro, Kiseki, and Mirumoto Kai. We have Dragon vs. Scorpion here, should prove to be an interesting match. Many speculate that Scorpion might be one of the few decks that can really take Dragon on toe-to-toe thanks to their answers to big, squishy targets. I'm joined here by none other than Jokingly. Welcome, man.
Hi. Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for showing up. And so we see a pretty sweet dragon flop here. I think there's not much more you can ask for here outside of maybe a storehouse. You see a good one drop in the Doom Shugenja and a Mirumoto Raitsugu to start just really pushing through some quick conflict wins. I think the only way this flop gets really better is instead of Raitsugu, you see a Master. We did see Kiseki choose to go second on the coin flip. And he has also a pretty nice slew of low-cost characters to build up a cheap, efficient board and perhaps pressure the dragon early on multiple fronts.
Yeah, I think in this matchup in particular for Dragon, Raitsugu is one of the better starters. He's less vulnerable to a fate worse than death, right? Just by virtue of being a 3-cost. And so you get to spread your fate around a little bit more, right? He's got 2 in the bank going into this, and he's not as vulnerable to this 4 fate showing for a fate worse than death.
Yep.
So yeah, you can't really ask for a better start here.
Yep, and we do see Kiseki buy 2 characters and then proceed to pass. We'll note that he also has 4 fate. That is enough to play a fate worse than death. But he is also playing a drop bears variant of Scorpion here, Splashing Crab. So we can expect him to have some sort of way to spend that fate mid-conflict this round. Whether it be a fate worse than death or a 3-cost conflict character. Surely he's got something going on.
Yep. Yeah, and Bayushi Liar is obviously a good start for them for the drop bear style. Manipulator is also pretty interesting with all the duels running around. It's worth noting he did already use it to buff his draw. But that can come into play with Raitsugu and inevitably policy debates and everything else to follow. So,
yep. An interesting thing to note about Kai's deck is that he is running slightly off what many would consider the standard list. He does run 2 High Kick. And High Kick is a card that's take it or leave it with a lot of Dragon players, but could be very effective in the Scorpion matchup to neuter some of the more powerful characters.
Yeah, that's what stood out to me, and that could be really spicy. Defending against a hero way or something like that coming in and high kicking in before he can pull the hook. That could be very good. So I'm interested to see if he's in a position to use that as effectively as it can be used, or if it'll end up sitting there like some of the Dragon players are afraid of.
Yes, sir. And we do see also an interesting play by Kiseki. He put a fate on his Bayushi Liar, which is not something you see every day, considering most people just kind of just take him for the 3 political now and the card later. So that is certainly an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that is Raitsugu protection, or what the thought there is.
Well, Raitsugu can't duel him anyway. He's got a dash in political or military.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It's interesting.
I mean, it's a 3 political character, so it's still value. It's just you get the card later rather than now. And most people, I think, would prefer to have the card now. So another benefit to the Dragon player here is they did open with the Imperial Palace, which is a rather obnoxious holding, especially for Scorpion sometimes, to try and reach and break through that +2 province strength. So I imagine Dragon at the end of this turn will be getting the Imperial favor, and if we happen to see... I am looking at the name Sumiko, yes, come up, then that can be a major issue for the Scorpion player. And we do know that the Dragon player is running both Yokuni and Sumiko at 3x each.
I think there's very little more terrifying in the game right now than turn 1 Palace from Dragon. It's really can be very oppressive, but he's got a fate worse than death. Some ways to at least attempt to maneuver around it. He's not completely cold to it.
Yeah, Dragon is just such a very resilient deck right now.
It is the Crab Splash, that is pretty much just standard. I mean, we've got a couple high kicks in here for some spice, but I think outside of that, it's a pretty standard looking list, and it's just really good right now. It's efficient. It knows what it wants to do. It's proactive, and it uses the resilience tools to drag high value characters later into the game, and it's hard to outlast them. Here comes a skirmisher.
Yep, so we do see the Hiruma Skirmisher come in, which will get covert. So I imagine this is just going to be pushing through a really quick military win by converting that Bayushi manipulator.
Yeah, pretty much guaranteeing a win here, and if he even wants to contest, he's got to play something out of hand into the conflict, into a waiting right Sugu likely.
So yeah, it looks like this conflict is going to be pushed through with the Doom Shugenja and not Right Sugu. Saving Right Sugu either for the political defense or for a political attack later, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
And we
Worth noting too.
Sorry, we do see it's a Void Conflict and Shameful Display is flipped up.
Yeah, Void Ring here is, I think, pretty straightforward. Push some of the stuff off the board, and you certainly don't want it coming back at you. Shameful Display, as it stands, is a pretty good hit. We'll see if anything comes out of the hand to activate, but he's already passed, so
yeah, Shameful Display, not the worst thing to hit here. Interesting, we didn't see it used to dishonor one of those characters at least. I guess it's a net honor 0. But it could have mattered.
Yep.
So just giving up the Shameful Display for free there and the honor loss is not a super big deal right now.
Yeah, so holding right Sugu back, does he defend here? I guess it's going to depend on what gets flipped, of course, but
yeah, I have to imagine he will, but Raisugu is not a great defender against that Liar for reasons mentioned before. The Liar just can't be dueled. So it's one of the best reasons to keep Raisugu back on defense. And we do see a Yojimbo come out with 2 extra fate for Scorpion. Benefit of Seeker of the Void, giving you an extra turn with that covert character, and that will just move Raisugu out of the conflict.
Yep. You have to imagine he's got a Pathfinder's Blade here, right? You don't.
Yep.
Yep, there it is. Don't want to go rumbling into Feast or Famine.
Yep, Pathfinder's Blade. The story of this matchup, both decks run it. It's just a great aggressive attachment that allows you to face check whatever you want with little to no consequence. And with covert especially, you can make it unopposed and then likely break the province as well. So that one cancel will be the only cancel that matters. I wonder if he's going to go at the Imperial Palace with maybe he has an extra katana or maybe a bonsai in hand. Although he does seem to be swinging 5 on the board, so any of Dragon's 3 strength provinces will immediately break.
Yeah, it looks like he's not on any katanas. He's on 2 bonsais, so he could force a fight there. But
we do see a Shameful Display pop up. Again, not very useful for Dragon to use it. I probably wouldn't even use my Pathfinder's Blade on this if it was used to dishonor my manipulator. Just save that for a later conflict. Unfortunately, I think he was really looking to hit something like a Restoration of Balance or a Feast or Famine here, just to get that option off the board. Because now Dragon has another turn to potentially draw a Let Go for that Pathfinder's Blade.
yeah, we'll I think that there's some value in the Scorpion matchup in dishonoring as many courtiers as possible, which is the play he goes ahead and makes.
Yep.
So we'll see if he wants to risk a Mirumoto's Fury into this. He does have the one fate floating to try and save the province, or if he's content with.
Yeah, I think this is probably the one province's dragon that you do want to save. You can get extra value out of the Shameful Display trigger, and it's not like your opponent's gonna just get off by ignoring it because all of your provinces suck to attack into. We do see the Fury come out. Good call.
Yep.
And no cancel from the Scorpion player, or maybe just not deeming it worthy of the cancel. But I think it's probably worthy to cancel that so that you're at least trading provinces. And I guess that means Kiseki does not have a Forged Edict in hand.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe conclusion. You know, you can go entire turns against a dragon where they don't cast any spells, right? They play a bunch of swords and attachments and tattooed wanderers.
Yep, that is a bit unfortunate, but them's the ropes against dragons sometimes.
Yep. So he's got a blade here, but he's got a political conflict. Bayushi Liar is a decent defender, although Raitsugu's already huge. So this, to me, seems like he's setting up for a potential policy debate if Bayushi Liar does block. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a political fire conflict here.
Yep, and this is just a textbook aggressive dragon start, breaking 2 provinces turn 1 most likely. I think as Kiseki, with the lost tempo off that Fury, you are kind of shoehorned into the defense here. However, it depends on what he attacks. See, public form, that's actually just perfect.
Yep.
So now you don't feel that pressure nearly as much. And if you were going to defend against Raitsugu anyway, you'd have to invest in the conflict because there is 6 political skill on board with the Dragon Stronghold. So, looks like Kiseki's going to go ahead and defend anyways. Although I'm not sure I agree with it. He's going to invest in Ornate Fan and his Bayushi Liar. So Dragon will not be breaking even with the Stronghold now.
Yeah, I don't think I like this. You know, the beauty of public forum is the tempo push, right? Where you can let it roll over and crack back pretty aggressively. And as it stands, you've got a dragon player with no fate and presumably no defenders, and you could roll a political attack at that Shameful Display and get it off the board.
Yeah, effectively the only difference right now between defending and not defending is you protect the public forum's trigger here. Because Dragon is still winning the ring. But in order to protect that trigger, you are staggering your own tempo to do so. I do suppose Raitsugu does have a Pathfinder's Blade. It's worth mentioning there that maybe he's defending because he doesn't want the Pathfinder's Blade to just straight up turn off the public forum.
Eat it, yeah, that's true.
He did have an edict.
He did have a Forged Edict. Interesting.
So it's an interesting. That's really curious because I feel like that Mirumoto's Fury is totally worth edicting early this turn.
Yeah, I would think so. Gets a fate worse than death.
Yeah. With Pathfinder's Blade, that does change things up. I still think I'd probably let the form go. I think the right play this turn was probably to edict and then double break back as the Scorpion player. Since you win second, you are actually going to be up ahead on tempo. You could potentially even win next turn if you double break again. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I agree 100%. And now that we know that he had a fate worse than death in hand, it would be easy to use unassuming Yojimbo and a fate worse than death to have a grindier turn if you want to take one break and fate worse than death the next big thing to come out, or to push aggressively and be on the stronghold or two. So it's an interesting line. We'll see. You know, the Scorpion player now is down a province. We're even on cards in hand.
I do believe Scorpion is ahead on board, though, having both a strong military and a strong political threat. Where Raitsugu is good in both, but he can only really be in one conflict.
Right.
And we do see the Palace dropped, favoring the extra draw. Now that he has the favor, maybe trying to find Sumiko, but he does not. We see Scorpion find a copy of Shoju, though I'm not sure if now is the time for him.
Yeah, I think we'll see probably Rumor Monger because he's pretty generally great. And then maybe a Sinister Soshi.
The actress is
and
also
then,
interesting here because that will allow you to double covert your military conflict with the Ruma Skirmisher. Or you can just grab a Doom Shugenja for another 3 skill.
Yeah.
So like even though they're both 1-drops, the actress is still pretty high value, just because Dragon's 1-drops are pretty good.
Yeah, you don't often see that much value out of actress in a 1-drop.
So we do see the Soshi with 1 fate, and then I have to imagine he will either save some fate here, or he'll go for the actress with no fate. Obviously, the dragon will probably buy the Doom Shugenja. That seems pretty straightforward and a great way to stall and see what your Scorpion opponent's going to be doing. It's unlikely you're going to be passing before them.
Yep.
Yep, and we see Kiseki pass. That tells me probably Kachiko or at least another Fate Worse Than Death already in hand.
Yep. And I think we'll see the dragon go wide here. Probably a Swordsmith and a Mendicant, if I had to guess. Just getting some bodies out. They want to be in pretty much every conflict at this point, so...
Yep. I'd probably put an extra fate on the Swordsmith as well, and we do see that. Get yourself 2 turns of extra draw. Not that you're really under any honor pressure right now, and the Mendicant comes out with no fate, as is pretty typical of the Mendicant. And that Mendicant's also really nice because we know he runs high kick, and it'll be his answer to Kachiko coming in.
Yes, we'll see if he's got it.
And Kachiko does have that action tempo loss. You got to play her and then use her action, and therefore high kick is actually a pretty effective answer against her. She just shows up, says hi, absolutely. And then gets a roundhouse kick to the face.
I'm excited. I don't think I've ever seen anything actually get high kicked in a game, so
I have not seen the card here to play yet either. So that's going to be exciting. I mean, I imagine both players are going to be drawing 5 again.
Kai goes 4 for some reason.
That is an interesting point. I'm not sure why you wouldn't bid 5 here.
Yeah, I think in this matchup, you're pretty much gonna 5, unless he was really afraid that Scorpion would turn the corner, but I think that was a pretty clear 5-bid turn.
I mean, you are on 11 or 12 honor. I actually don't remember what he was on before the open hand still. He was on 11. So even if the Scorpion turns on you here, you're at 7, and that's a perfectly comfortable honor level.
Yep.
But we do see Scorpion with the first conflict. We see her Skirmisher come in. And we're going to probably see the military conflict first then. And I imagine the covert will probably be on Raitsugu and the Doom Shugenja.
Yeah, I think he probably goes hunting here. You still, with the Pathfinder's Blade on the board, you still want to take the opportunity to find either of the terrifying dragon fire provinces.
Yeah, I think you're really looking to hit Feast or Famine here.
Yeah. But in a 5-big game, getting restoed down 5 cards is pretty aggressive, so...
Yeah, he would lose 4 cards off of Restoration. I think he's fine hitting either, but... we will just have to see. It seems as though we're still waiting on Kai's action right now. We saw him pull a reprieve with the Swordsmith there, so that'll be helpful for maybe Raitsugu gets a Fate Worse Than Death this turn. That can help keep him around.
Yep. Good protection against Fate Worse Than Death. Good protection against just even pushing a Void Ring here. So...
let me double check the I Can Swim count on Kiseki's deck real quick, because that is also a card. He has 0 I Can Swim. So that's an interesting choice as well. We see some Scorpion dropping it entirely in favor of Fate Worse Than Death. And some holding on to maybe 1 or 2 copies in addition to like 1 or 2 copies of a Fate Worse Than Death. But I personally like it at 1 copy. But You see Kiseki does not have it, so there's no real need to play around it for the dragon player.
Right. He does have 3 calling in favors, which, I think most of this I've seen a run in 2. Obviously, having that 3rd calling in favors in this matchup in particular is
I think it's a
pretty
great
important.
card in the meta right now as it stands, because the meta is very dependent upon these really impactful attachments. If like Dragon and Scorpion, it's either Reprieve or a Pathfinder's Blade. Both of those are very worthy of stealing. But against most of the other roles that are Keeper, you see the Talisman of the Sun, which is also very worth stealing. So, or Spyglass
Yes.
even. Like stealing a Spyglass also pretty good. So there's
Yep.
just a lot of very good attachments. So calling in favors is actually, it might even reach a point that I would call it better than Let Go in this meta.
Yeah, I think right now, if you're going to call the top 2 decks Dragon, Crab, then calling in favors is pretty killer. Does go for the Shameful Display here.
Yeah, I think he's just going to remove it off the board, I guess. Although the Shameful Display doesn't do a whole lot here. So he, again, doesn't really have to blow that Pathfinder's Blade if he doesn't want to. It's a pretty safe kill. He chooses to... I do believe he didn't covert right Sugu here. Or maybe my overlay's messed up. I don't see a highlight around Raisugu.
No, I don't either. It looks like defending with just the Mendicant. And presumably going to fire off that Shameful Display here. Nothing to high kick.
These are actually some of the lowest impact Shameful Displays I've ever seen. Dragon has seen all of their low glory characters, and Scorpion is, well, pretty low glory characters, so. Most of these Shameful Displays have been swings of like 1. I guess this one is a swing of 2, so it's effectively a blank 5-strength province with some honor gain and honor loss.
Yeah, although that 2 at the moment does prevent it from breaking. So
that is true. It forces Kiseki to have another answer. We see charge come out for Shoju. Not the most ideal charge target, but if Kiseki also has a reprieve, that Shoju can stick around, and that gets you value long term.
Yes.
Kiseki's down to 4 fate now, so that removes the Gachiko option between the Hiruma Skirmisher and the charge. So no need to worry about that anymore, but a Fate Worse Than Death is still on the table.
Yeah, I have to imagine that unless things go completely sideways for him, if he has the reprieve, that charge reprieve is going to be his play here.
Yep. Worth noting as well, the Dragon player is also running 3 charge with Hiruma. So
yes.
Potentially able to effectively get 2 skill for free, and potentially some extra Seeker Fate should he flip down a Fire Province. We see Bonsai coming out.
So, yeah. He is defending here, and Kiseki's list is pretty short on mill buffs, so if he doesn't have one of his 2 bonsais, there's not too much he can do to affect this fight.
Yeah, I think those are about the only way he can affect this fight right now. Without the Fine Katana, he needs exactly 2 skill. And looks like we just see the Soshi bring up that 2 skill, which is a good point to remember your stuff on board.
Yep.
And that Soshi is a good card for that. So effectively making that Bonsai not necessarily worthless, but it really diminishes the fact that he spent a card and an honor for that.
Yeah, it's as it stands is not great. We'll see if he's got a Daisho or something similar. 2 fate and 9 cards in hand, it's pretty likely that he can continue to mill buff here.
Seems like a Fine Katana comes out instead. So that means probably not a Daisho, but any weapon you see blown on a Mendicant and not an Eaton Master is probably a slight win. But this means Kiseki's likely not breaking. Again, Dragon just playing cards and forcing Kiseki to have answers. And there we go, no more answers left. Willing to take the conflict win, but cannot break the province. So again, Kiseki's tempo being slowed here, and Dragon's board is still very threatening. Not great. We see a reprieve.
It's a lot of resources. That was interesting.
This reprieve, maybe... I'm not sure why. I feel like
Oh, he
okay,
wants to
going full
win.
out. Yeah, going full out for the win. I do suppose this Void Ring is rather important because it would remove Raitsugu from the board. But I mean, you had a reprieve in hand, so effectively you're spending the reprieve on the Mendicant to deny one ring
Yeah, and
for
I
the
mean,
favor count.
after that charge, you're really saying you don't have calling in favors in your hand, because that's you know, if Scorpion didn't have the reprieve there, you're giving it to him, right?
I feel like if I were Kiseki, I would save the calling in favors till later. It might be more important to calling in favors that Pathfinder's Blade on Raitsugu, so just leave the option open.
Yeah, I think the crackback here is going to be pretty aggressive. That was a lot of resources by the Scorpion player.
Yep. But worth noting, it was
And
also a fair amount of resources from the Dragon player. It was 3 cards on the Dragon player's part to effectively 1 card. And we do see the calling in favors immediately take the Pathfinder's Blade off of. Or no, sorry, we see
takes
the
the
Katana.
fine katana.
And that is
Wow.
interesting. Maybe he has a reprieve for Shoju as well in hand, so stealing the opponent's reprieve is not super high value. The reason you take the opponent's reprieve here is not necessarily to make sure the Mendicant leaves play, but to make sure Shoju stays in play. And if you have a reprieve yourself, then that's not super valuable. And taking the Katana so that you are now breaking again, that's pretty good. You see another Pathfinder's Blade come out. Dragon really doesn't want this shameful display to break.
No. But I think you're happy with this as the Dragon player. You know, eating the Void Ring is tough, especially after spending the reprieve on a Mendicant. But Dragon is in a position right now to break at least one province this turn.
Second charge for the Shosuro actress, and I'm not sure on this for the Dragon. I feel like Dragon may have overcommitted to a conflict that they're probably just better off sacrificing to the Scorpion player here. Just because now you're losing that Void Ring. The reason you play the Pathfinder's Blade is because you just wanted to prevent the break, so you basically conceded the Void Ring. That means you no longer have a reprieve for your Raitsugu. So from this play, Dragon has invested, I believe, 4 total cards, and also is losing Raitsugu off the board where otherwise he would have been able to stay quite safely, and is losing the Shameful Display in the process. Now, Scorpion also spent a large number of resources in 2 cards, or 2 charges and a Hiruma Skirmisher to make that conflict happen, but ultimately comes out with a break, a Void Ring that removes Raitsugu from the board, a beefed up Yojimbo that's still on the board, and apparently a reprieve for Shoji with another calling in favors.
Second calling in favors.
And we do have an actress on board that can grab, again, a Doom Shugenja. Oh, he also happenstantially discarded a Sumiko from that province.
Right, yeah, the actress coming out now and getting a second character into a conflict is going to be pretty big. That being the last point on the swing and essentially wasting his Pathfinder's Blade was a pretty big hit at the end of that fight.
I think Dragon just needed to know when you weren't necessarily drawing much more investment out of the Scorpion, or rather you're putting in more investment than the Scorpion is needing to put in to answer your investment. And I think that was sort of perhaps an overextension of Dragon. Now the crackback here will be very strong because that Raitsugu is still here this turn, and Scorpion will be down probably 2 provinces now. However, the board next turn is going to look very good for Scorpion.
Yeah, that reprieve, I mean, he played the reprieve just to get an extra +1/+1 out of his box, but then you played a Pathfinder's Blade after that. So he could have skipped the reprieve play altogether, still gotten his +2/+2, and have a reprieve in hand, at least theoretically, for his Raitsugu. Now, we know that he had the second calling in favors, but the line itself seems...
Yeah, it was definitely perhaps just not worth the investment. As Dragon, you really want to be aggressive, and you spent a lot of your aggressive tools. You spent a Pathfinder's Blade, you spent a Bonsai, playing defensively when you're
Yep.
probably better off just like throwing enough in the way of the Scorpion that they have to invest a little more, but not so much yourself. So that's a big deal. We saw a lot of cards thrown out there. Dragon's down to 6 cards, and Scorpion is down to 5. But with Scorpion coming out ahead, I think that more than makes up the 1 card difference here. And we're going to see I believe, a military conflict here. Water, it seems, just trying to bow out that Liar, considering it cannot defend, which is a good choice here. It's the best tempo play that Dragon has. Going back at the public forum, I'm not sure about this, really. Because Kiseki defended that forum the first time, I suppose you're just going to Pathfinder's Blade through it. But I would rather just go and likely break whatever problems I want with those 2 in a Pathfinder's Blade, rather than just take the forum that's already face up.
Yeah, I don't really know. With only 1 fate left, I don't know what he's afraid of attacking with both in a mill conflict that essentially can't be defended. He's got an actress that he can throw a Doom Shugenja into the fight with, but
yeah, that actress is going to be used basically nowhere this turn. I guess it might be used on the political attack from the Agasha Swordsmith would be the best use. Yeah, we do see the Pathfinder's Blade spent to break the public forum, but again, I feel like you had a free shot at a very threatening province, or perhaps a province that has an effect that's worth canceling.
Yep, and now he's got to kind of blind poke into it, so...
Actually, you had a free poke on, what is Scorpion normally running? Meditations on the Tau and Pilgrimage in their home row? So both of those don't really matter with the sort of conflict you just did, so I think I really prefer just going and sniping one of those that are potentially relevant later.
Yeah, so Kiseki's actually on Night Raid.
Ah, even
over Meditations. But yeah, if you're going to go exploring, then
I suppose he wanted to just get some use out of the Pathfinder's Blade that he's losing this turn anyway.
Yeah.
So now I have to imagine Kiseki passes his entire next conflict. 1 fate, there's like no conflict characters he has in his deck that could get him another conflict here. But he will be able to actress in a Doom Shugenja on this political attack from the Swordsmith.
Yep. Hai has another reprieve for his Raitsugu, so that will help his board immensely for the next turn here.
Yeah, that will help a fair amount here. And I have to wonder if he can even win a political conflict with the Swordsmith, depending on what's left in hand. We've already seen 1 Ornate Fan dropped onto Raitsugu. We know he has 2 fans and 2 Kitsuki's Method, I do believe. So he might not have another political buff, in which case the actress becoming a Doom Shugenja would be enough to defend. Actually, no, it wouldn't. I'm sorry. The Imperial Favor is on the Dragon side, so it would be not enough. Yep. So there's no reason not to attack here.
Yeah, I think he's got most likely a win. It might cost him a card out of hand if he hits Night Raid. He could hit Pilgrimage, of course, which would delete the ring effect, but it's still going to let him keep the favor and probably rip a fate off of what I'm guessing is going to be a fire ring here.
Yep. I think fire is the ring to go here. You can perhaps... Well, I say that, but now that I think about it more, 3 of the Scorpion characters are already dishonored, so the best use you're going to get out of that fire ring is honoring your Agasha Swordsmith, which isn't super great. But then again, neither's air, and you're either taking one or the other here. I seriously doubt Earth is a consideration when compared to Fate.
Yeah, I think the Fate plus, just a fire ring. Raitsugu now with the reprieve is sticking around, right? And he's only a 1 glory, but an extra stat on him when you're going to make a
Raitsugu
final stronghold push potentially.
Yeah, the extra stat on Raitsugu will matter because that duel can often come down to just a matter of 1 skill. And we do see the actress pop in. Yep. But it's still 3-3.
Yep.
So
he found the Pilgrimage, so it's unlikely that he's going to break this thing here. So
yep,
I'm guessing
he's just getting the ring for favor.
Passes. Yep. But he gets the fate. He's going to hold the favor through for another turn, and he's going to be on the play. So it's it's one more opportunity to find a Sumiko and go to work here.
Yep. If Sumiko pops up, I think you definitely ditch Yaruma here. He's not going to be doing much for you, unfortunately.
No.
Definitely looking for some more high-value characters now that you're losing Raisuku. You're looking to find either Yokuni, a Eaton Master, or Sumiko. Either of those three. And we have 29 cards in the Dynasty deck. Well, technically 32 cards to see one of those cards, which he likely has 3 copies of each. Well, we know he has 3 copies of each. So, pretty good odds of seeing one of those cards. Oh, and even better odds, I suppose, considering Togashi Mendican's going to do what he do. And let him look at the top 3, find, hopefully, a big bomb character like that, and then just ditch Yaruma and put that character in that province. Mendican's is a card that's gotten a lot of scrutiny as well. A lot of people... It's a very subtle value card. There's not a lot of really obvious ways that it's good, but it's just a card that gives you a little boost in consistency and gives you that ability to do plays like find, whoa, hello.
Well, we found them.
Well, we found those cards. I'm assuming it's going to be Sumiko because you have the favor already, and Sumiko will help you keep the favor to make Sumiko even better. Also, provided that Sumiko has a duplicate on board, it seems the obvious choice.
Yeah, I think so. You're going first, which means that Sumiko gets into the first, third, and fourth conflicts of the round. And I mean, you're rumbling towards a stronghold at the end of this. So.
Yep, he just needs to break one more province, and then the stronghold is a knock-in. And.
Yep.
Jeez, and we do know he has 3 charge as well, so charge on Yokuni could also be a possibility. Just casual 5 skill for 1 fate. Not bad at all.
No.
Scorpion's probably gonna need some sauce. Either the other fate worse than death to deal with Sumiko, or gosh, Kachiko maybe. Kachiko would also be able to deal with Sumiko, but Dragon has so many buffs that it's difficult to get Kachiko off. We see Yokuni with 2 fate come out instead, which is a very interesting choice. I feel like Sumiko's totally the pick here.
Yeah, this is a dream scenario for Sumiko, but...
I guess with Yokuni you can copy Raisugu's duel and remove any Scorpion character you want, considering they all have 0 fate. But I think if you're trying to close out the game quickly, Sumiko's the pick. You can just go right in on your first attack, essentially for free. The only card Scorpion could have that prevents that from doing lots of damage would be a fate worse than death. So
but I mean, he's already seen 1. Scorpion's actually already down to 5 honor. And we've already seen 1 of the 2 fate worse than deaths, and there's 24 cards left in his conflict deck. I think you roll the dice there, assume he doesn't have the second.
Yep, I think as Kiseki here, I think you bid 3 or 4, and maybe bump up with that manipulator depending on whether or not you need to see that fate worse than death, because Yukuni's not a bad target for it either.
No, very true.
You see 3.
And, yep. He does want that 4th.
Yep. It's worth the extra card for sure. Especially when Dragon's also bidding high.
Yeah. He can certainly afford it here.
Yep. And we do have 4 fate floating for Scorpion, so Fate Worse Than Death is on the table. Dragon's almost certainly going to go air here just to grab the extra fate and deny it from Scorpion. And, there's not a lot of hope left for Kiseki here.
No,
it's going to be very difficult to recover
the tempo. A pretty good indicator he doesn't have a fate worse than death, right? So
maybe that is the case. Cloud the Mind here also prevents Yokuni from using his ability pre-conflict. A fate worse than death has to be played during a conflict, so if Togashi Yokuni copies an ability, then he'll be able to use it even if a Fate Worse Than Death comes down. I do believe. Because a Fate Worse Than Death is worded like Cloud the Mind, yeah? It's printed text box and not just text box.
Yes.
Yep. So if Yokuni copies an ability before he gets a Fate Worse Than Death, then he would still have that ability. Not that I suppose any relevant abilities are on the board, but maybe he'd be able to grab another card with a Swordsmith or whatever. But still, I think Cloud the Mind's a sufficient answer. The reason you'd want a Fate Worse Than Death is if the character would die that turn, most likely. Because a Fate Worse Than Deathing here and knocking Yokuni down to 1 Fate isn't the biggest deal, unless you also get a Void Ring to knock him down to 0 Fate. And Yokuni is not super scary when he's Cloud the Minded anyway. He's just a big beat stick.
Yep. He is just a big beat stick, but depending on how this goes, that could be all Kai needs.
Yep, I mean, big beat sticks is kind of Dragon's MO, so it's just more good stuff for them. I think if I am Kai, I'm really hoping to see a third Pathfinder's Blade to go check that fire province and take it out. And then move on to Scorpion Stronghold this turn.
Yep, I think, something worth noting is we're yet to see a Let Go, and we're yet to see a Tattooed Wanderer. So as it gets closer, this is where Dragon likes to, it would be very easy to throw a Let Go out at Cloud the Mind and either bait Forged Edict or free him up. And then the Tattooed Wanderer giving Covert can help you close this game out.
Yep, and we did see a fine katana grabbed with the Akasha Swordsmith earlier this phase. So that means the odds of him having a Tattooed Wanderer in hand are really high. I would say probably close to 70%, because he just looked at the top 5 cards in a 22-card conflict deck, and he's drawn the other half of his conflict deck. So the chances of him drawing all those cards and looking at all those cards and not seeing a Tattooed Wanderer at some point, pretty low.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he's got one here.
Yep. Unlikely he has the third Pathfinder's Blade, though, at least, but, I mean, a Tattooed Wanderer is going to be more than enough here. You see Kai thinking here, so I'm wondering if he is jumping through the math necessary to just barely break the last province here for Kiseki and then go all in on the Stronghold as his second conflict. One thing to note is that breaking this province will require a fairly significant investment from Dragon. You'd probably have to send at least Yokuni and maybe even Yokuni and Raitsugu to really threaten a break through Scorpion's board state. And doing so leaves you with very little options for breaking the Stronghold. However, we know Dragon runs 3 charge, and we have yet to see a single one of those. And charge on Sumiko is just about as good as charge on Yokuni. So
very true. Very true.
Yeah, so we could definitely see one of these Sumiko come out with a charge on a military first conflict here. And that would give you some pressure for threatening the Stronghold later.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see, Scorpion has 1 Courtier on the board. So assuming he has a Let Go, I'd like to see a Let Go at Yokuni just to see what happens. And if it gets Forged Edict, then you clear the way for your charges. And if it doesn't, then you've opened up a Yokuni. You can go ahead and copy that Raitsugu ability and then push in against a bunch of fateless folks and try and take somebody off the board.
Yeah, lots of lines of play open for Dragon, and this just goes to show how great Dragon's conflict deck is. Basically 40 good cards that are pretty good in all situations. Leaves them with lots of lines of play here.
It does.
And we do have the Fine Katana, so we could even see like maybe 2 charge to bring out Sumiko and the Niten Master. And then he can ready the Niten Master with the Fine Katana. And suddenly, for 2 Fate and 2 cards, he's brought out 7 initial strength, and then 5 more on the Niten Master, 4 more on Sumiko for later conflicts.
Yes. So what does Scorpion need to do to survive?
2 Forged Edicts and a Fate Worse Than Death, most likely. Can't even actually play 2 Forged Edicts right now with just 1 open courtier that's not dishonored. So, Scorpion needs some pretty exact sauce in order to counter the potential dragon plays, if they happen, but they most likely will. And it also needs to somehow survive that type of onslaught from dragon and get back onto the breaking game, because Scorpion is not going to be able to dishonor dragon out this game. It's a 0% fact at this point. So Scorpion's ideal turn would be being able to neuter dragon's aggressive turn here, and then crack back and break 2 provinces. And the next turn, Scorpion will be first player and be able to go on the stronghold. But that is almost exceedingly unlikely. We do see a swordsmith going for a poking attack, it seems. If this is military, this just screams, I have multiple charge to me. So
Yes.
It will put Scorpion at an interesting position. We see Raitsugu coming along as well. So maybe it is just straight political, 6 strength.
Yeah, it's going to cost him 2 cards on this Night Raid here. But
this is interesting, because what he's doing here, and we do see it's political earth, in fact, is he's not going to be able to do charge Sumiko or charge Niten Master this way, and he opens himself up for the Yojimbo to attack military back and covert through Yokuni.
Yeah, this turns on Shoju's action.
Yeah, it does turn on Shoju's action, which means he could kill Raitsugu, but just the stronghold from Dragon will be able to prevent that. This is interesting line of play. I feel like if you have charge in hand, this is exactly not the line of play you want to make. So maybe he doesn't have the charge. Because, like, charging in Sumiko, at this point, like, you're either charging in on your second conflict, which is less value with Sumiko and Niten Master both, because you have the ways to get them into multiple conflicts. But also, if your opponent does a military conflict, you're now charging in those characters on defense where they are less useful.
Right. We certainly don't want to see a Sumiko charge in on defense.
Yeah, it seems like we just have a manipulator trump blocking here to not lose the honor. And we see a Fate Worse Than Death played on Raitsugu. That's interesting. I do suppose it will prevent the break, but that's not as valuable as it could be.
No, I think Dragon's pretty happy about that, to be honest.
Yeah. And now that Secret Cache has been used this turn as well, it's effectively a blank 4-strength province for Yokuni to come in. That Fate Worse Than Death does likely buy Scorpion another turn of life, which, considering this is basically a chump block, that extra turn could mean all the world here. Because now Scorpion could potentially double break this turn to only Dragon's single break and win next turn off the top of the round. We see a court game's used to dishonor that manipulator, so Dragon is pushing hard for the break. I have to imagine there's going to be a method thrown down here onto this Agasha Swordsmith.
Yeah, and now this shuts off.
And we see a counter court games. Oh gosh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Coming out from Scorpion to dishonor the Swordsmith. That does very little. Swordsmith is still just 2 skill off of breaking, so I don't see much point in playing that court games. If the Dragon has any political pump, it's going to break.
Yep.
And even if that weren't the case, the dragon can use their stronghold to force through the break. And there we go. We do see the Kitsuki's method come down. And that court game effectively did nothing before and after Kiseki playing it. We see four shame. There we go. That's why you did
four
it.
shame. There we go. Yep. Yeah. So still going to cost him. He's still going to lose the conflict to the favor, but it does save the province.
Saving the province is all you care about here. The Earth Ring is really bad. We see Kazue coming in.
Woo!
That's gonna bring in the. That's gonna be the break. But heavy investment from Dragon. That is all of Dragon's fate, and additionally all of Scorpion's fate, considering they played a fate worse than death on this conflict. But Dragon invested way more than Scorpion, but comes out a province ahead. So Dragon has a political conflict left, where they can only send Yokuni. They have no fate left for charge, no fate left for any of the heavier attachments, such as a Tattooed Wanderer. So Yokuni's attack on the stronghold is not very threatening. He's also going to be attacking into Scorpion's strong suit. So I think Kiseki has a chance here.
Yeah, I think he does.
He's still got that Pathfinder's Blade on that Yojimbo. He can go hunting if he finds the Feast or Famine. That's going to be a super free break with just the Yojimbo. He can lightly defend his stronghold using the Sinister Soshi. And the Yogo Outcast, and then break with Shoju as well. And that puts him on top of the next turn, being able to go at Dragon's Stronghold. And that's his out right now, is to break 2 provinces this turn, and barely not lose the game this turn.
Yep, so he plays out that extra Pathfinder's Blade so that he won't lose it to the Earth Ring.
Yep. And we see, so we have seen some plays here. We did see a way the Scorpion go down to dishonor Kazue, preventing her from breaking. Then we saw a Pathfinder's Blade go out into Shoju, because he doesn't want to lose it to the Earth Ring. And then we saw a fine katana that was drawn with the Swordsmith put onto Togashi Kazue just to turn on the stronghold so that she's breaking. And we see another 4 shame to bow her. So many perfect answers for Scorpion. It's exactly what they needed to not lose the game. So that's super huge for Scorpion. It's the greatest news Scorpion could have. It cost them almost all of their cards, but now they have the tempo to maybe come back in the game.
Yeah, this certainly puts them right back in it. Discarding Kachiko to the Earth Ring doesn't seem very relevant. So
yep, I think that's probably the best card you could discard.
Yep. And that was the first way of the Scorpion we had seen, I believe.
Yep.
So, but he's only running 2. But way of the Scorpion very good on the Okuni, especially now that he's just a big body. So
yeah, I think Kiseki's pretty happy with that trade overall. Dragon invested quite hugely in that conflict as well. Dragon is up 3 cards, but anything Kiseki needs to get back in the game. This could only get more juicy if Kiseki's still holding onto reprieves in hand and can keep this Yojimbo around for another turn to go at the stronghold top of next round.
Yep.
But we are going to see the covert conflict come out here. I have to imagine it's going to be air because that 2 fate is very valuable. Both to maybe turn on some tricks this turn, but mostly to save for next turn so that you can make a big push on the board and try to end the game. Manicure Garden, not what you want to see, but he's got 2 Pathfinder's Blade on the board, so he will be able to just use this current Pathfinder's Blade to deny the fate gain, because why not?
Oh, absolutely. You don't want to get furied here, so.
Yep. And it's because like the Yojimbo's probably going away at the end of the turn anyway. Like that Pathfinder's Blade might as well be used.
Absolutely. So that lets him break. Sumiko is now gone, as that will be the 2nd and 3rd Sumiko's hitting the graveyard for the game.
Good counting. Yep. So there's no more Sumiko for the rest of the game. And that is actually a big deal. Now, imagine if the dragon player bought Sumiko instead of Yokuni here. She would still be clouded, but I guess it would mean that Kiseki goes for a different province. So I guess it wouldn't matter in the end, just because of the Cloud the Mind. But if Cloud the Mind didn't exist, he would have had an extra 4 skill into that military conflict that didn't cost him a bow.
Yep.
And it seems clear that Dragon hasn't drawn a Let Go in over half of their deck as well. So in over half their deck, they haven't drawn a Let Go or a Tattooed Wanderer, so the rest of their deck's going to be complete sauce for ending the game. And I don't believe the Sinister Soshi was used this turn yet. So that's something.
No, he's got a Sinister Soshi and a Shoju.
That Shoju's gonna attack.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. The stronghold is bowed, so depending on what's left in this dragon player's hand, it would only take a court games or a Way of the Scorpion to allow Shoju to kill Yokuni, right?
That is correct, unless Dragon has another political buff.
Yep. So it could be risky depending on what's in his hand to even attack with Yokuni here.
Oh, even with one political buff, Yokuni still dies if he gets dishonored. Yeah, Yokuni would need 2 political buffs to get out of that range, and we see one on board. We saw another on Raisugu. There's only 2 more in the deck. And we know he doesn't have one, actually, because he would have played it on Kazue, on that political conflict, to break the secret cache. So there are no political buffs in hand. Attacking with Yokuni is very risky, actually.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, because we know there are 2 more court games and 1 more Way of the Scorpion in the Scorpion deck. To dishonor Yokuni, that could be huge.
Yep.
And regardless of that, actually no, Yokuni's gonna be attacking military, isn't he? So we don't even have to worry about.
Oh, you're right. That was a political attack.
Yep.
I think we had already lined up the first attack being a military attack because we were waiting for the charges to come in. So
yep.
We forgot it was actually political.
That is indeed correct.
That feels a little better then, right? He can push a military water conflict here.
That's probably
to knock down Shoju.
That's definitely the one you want.
Yep.
Scorpion can defend on board with effectively 5 with that Sinister Soshi, but he needs a little bit more to prevent Shoju from just being bowed out for the turn. And Dragon will be having next turn with Yokuni on board, which is not great. He really, really needs to get that second conflict in.
Yeah.
Maybe we have... I don't know what it could be. You've got to have, like, another dishonor effect, which has to be the other Way of the Scorpion, because it's a military conflict. We do see Shoju come in on the defense here. I like this play, actually. It means you still have a decent odds of breaking, but you lose the Pathfinder's Blade. And at this point, with a hand size of 3, Restoration is fine. The only bad hit would be Feast or Famine. So it's a 50-50. Because you can't Water Ring down the Yogo Outcast.
No, it does allow you to untap something, but...
Am I missing something? Why did it say attacker 3? Oh, okay, the Soshi was used. I missed that.
Yep, so Soshi takes it down to 3, and then Shoju with his currently 1 plus a blade gives him 2 military in this fight. Yep. Seems unlikely that we'll see a break here, although...
Yeah, we're just going to let him have the Water Ring, which will probably be used to unbow Raisugu.
Yep.
And that means the political attack by the Yogo Outcast will actually be a little rough. I think Kiseki may have been a little preemptive in using the Soshi there. because Yokuni was not breaking.
Yeah, that is definitely something you would want to have on hand for this Raitsugu.
Yeah, Raisugu can duel first thing though. Granted, it will be 2 to 3, but Dragon has honor to spare and would likely want to spend it to remove that fate from that Yogo and just wipe the board out.
Oh yeah, a clean board for the Dragon player with a Yokuni left would be ideal.
Super duper ideal at this point. We do see Finger of Jade come down onto the Yoga Outcast. That's an interesting include. I must have missed that in the list.
Saucy.
That is spicy tech.
Saucy.
Yeah, that will prevent the Raitsugu duel entirely
Yep.
from happening. But Raitsugu alone will be enough skill to likely prevent a break from the Scorpion player. Oh, Raitsugu couldn't duel in the first place because the Fate Worse than Death was played this turn.
Oh, you're right. So he's
This Finger of Jade is... I bet you Kiseki also forgot that fact.
Yes. I can't imagine there's another reason to play it.
Yep, going at the Neaton Master, we're hoping to see the Restoration of Balance here. Because if you're not going to break, you might as well trigger the one-time effect of the Restoration. We see Feast or Famine. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but you're likely not breaking anyway, so I guess it's fine.
Oh, he does block. Interesting.
I think he's really respecting the kill next turn from Scorpion with some covert.
Yeah, he must be, because the opportunity to remove a fate from Yogo Outcast to then save one of your 3 drops
doesn't work that way actually, because Finger of Jade.
Ha.
So no, defending's the right move here. Not only are you respecting the drop bears, but you're also not going to get Feast or Famine if you do let it go through.
He plays at Court Games.
Yep, we see the second Court Games from Dragon come out. Just to dishonor that outcast, even though the poor Scorpion player was losing already.
Yeah, interesting.
Seems like we've seen a couple of cards played a little preemptively when they didn't necessarily need to be. The Reprieve for Shoju. Interesting that that's seeing play right now.
Maybe he's the Court Games lowering the stats, I guess, would indicate a potential policy debate, although that could get Finger of Jaded as well, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm not super sure here. The Court Games just felt wasteful.
Yep.
But there's a lot of dishonored characters on the board.
Yeah, that air ring, obviously it was very tempting for the 2 fate, but even just as a bit of a buffer, he was at 5 honor, going to 3 is, with duels and everything else on the board, could be a little dangerous if the game stalls out.
Yep, and that's the first Seeker Fate for Dragon this game too, so if Kiseki decides to go for the Restoration instead of the Feast or Famine next turn, Dragon will get another fate from that. There goes the board. And I think Scorpion is slightly ahead on board. They are even on provinces, and Scorpion's going first this turn. However, Dragon has 5 more cards in hand and more honor, and technically more fate. So I think Dragon is still in the lead, but that was the turn Scorpion needed to swing it back a little bit.
Yes, this game feels much closer than it did at the start of this turn.
Yep. Dragon keeps the favor as well, but no more Sumiko means that it's way less threatening. So Hiraway gets bought with a fate. Unlikely Scorpion has any more really expensive tricks outside of maybe a Yojimbo they might draw. So Hero is a good buy here. Although I would think the actress might give you more throughput for actually trying to end the game. I think Hiroe is just the more defensive buy. So I think he's buying Hiroe to play more defensively and not really trying to close out the game this turn. Perhaps because he sees two Needin Adepts, and that makes it very difficult to actually push through anything.
Yeah, the Scorpion player is in certainly a better position than he was, but to attempt a double break seems ambitious to me. So I like the hero way here. You can start to manipulate combat and try and end this turn where you're breaking one province and the dragon player is breaking nothing, and then be a province up going into the next turn.
I don't think you play the duplicate here for Hero either. You are first player, so you're likely going to be going for the Void Ring to get the fate off it, and that means your Hero with one fate is pretty safe. He's unlikely to go away. And by passing first, you get 3 fate, so if you draw an unassuming Yojimbo, you can play it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just not worth the extra turn to get that extra fate.
Yep, not at all. And the Void Ring is a pretty clear pick here. It's got a fate on it. You're staring down a Yokuni with 1.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to win the Void Ring, but he'll take it off the table.
Yeah.
And force out a defense, because the Dragon player does not want to lose Yokuni. Dragon player does still have 2 more reprieves in deck, I do believe. Actually, no, we've seen 2, so there's 1 more reprieve that could save Yokuni. We do see the Scorpion player play the extra fate on Hero. I do think that's a mistake. If Dragon passes now, Scorpion could face some issues with draws. I do suppose you're going to get the fate from the Void Ring, so I guess, unassuming Yojimbo's on the table no matter what. But it does sort of clog up your hand a bit if you draw 1-cost events.
Yep.
And honor-wise, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. Because ideally, as Scorpion here, you actually want to use your Stronghold pre-draw phase as well. Just to get the guaranteed honor. And limit Dragon's draw. And if you take the honor here, you're more free to bid high. Although as Dragon, I would be pretty free to bid 5 here. There's nothing that really punishes you from bidding 5. You'd be on, at worst, 3 honor.
Yeah, I think a 5 bid is pretty safe here. You can assume safely that the Void Ring is coming at you, which means that if you do feel the pressure, you've got an Air Ring to come back with.
Yep.
Yeah, they're both going to push 5.
Yep, good read on Kiseki. It was a little dangerous to do, but relatively safe. It's unlikely Dragon's going to bid 1.
Yeah.
And hand reload. Maybe we see the 3rd charge for this actress again. So you're going to go Void here. It's probably going to be political. You should probably send Hero away and Shoju so that you threaten a kill. And the cool thing is, if you do actually win with Hero and Shoju, you can kill someone after the conflict with Hiroe's Dishonor. Because Shoju's ability will still be on them.
Yep.
The downside to that is you're spending 2 of your 3 characters to do it. And the only conflict character that you can really play would be a Yojimbo or a Magistrate. And interestingly enough, the Magistrate hurts Scorpion more than it hurts Dragon right now.
Seems to be the case with that particular Magistrate sometimes.
Yep. We've seen both Skirmishers, I do believe, from Scorpion. Just checking the discard piles real quick. Apparently just 1. I'm bad at counting. We have seen 2 Pathfinders played and 1 Reprieve and 2 Calling in Favors. So I'm just curious what's left in the Scorpion's deck. He has drawn almost all of it. He's almost certainly got another copy of Kachiko in hand. He's probably got another Yojimbo. And decent odds of him having some extra good stuff events, such as Charge, Court Games, For Shame, and Calling in Favors. Has he played a Bonsai this game? I don't think he has, so Bonsai is on the table.
Yep, so he's got 2 bonsais left somewhere. He does have another Cloud the Mind, I believe.
Yes.
You would think at some point this dragon will draw Let Go, but
Interesting as well, in Kiseki's deck, he does not run Policy Debate.
that is very interesting.
I have seen a lot of Drop Bears decks not run it just because it's a little awkward in the deck. You're not necessarily playing some of the big political bombs from Dynasty. And it's a little awkward with Kachiko as well because you have to play Kachiko and then take another turn to play Policy Debate and then take another turn to send someone home.
Sure.
And that gives your opponent a lot of room to maybe adjust and reposition.
So he comes rumbling.
Yep, this is definitely what it's going to be. I have to imagine you're going to naturally defend with both Neaten Master and Yokuni here. Because then they can't be pulled in by Hero Away and potentially killed.
Yeah, they're both vulnerable to a hook plus Shoju machine gun, so I think you have to block with both, which I think is fine.
There are 2 Court Games and A Way of the Scorpion still in Kiseki's hand and or deck. So targeted kill is certainly a thing here.
Absolutely.
But I think you do have to defend with both. Because if you don't defend with both, you actually risk losing both of them. Because if, say for example, Kiseki has a targeted Dishonor and Shoju kills one, and then you might be able to pull in the other with Hero Away, and then you Shoju on it as well. And potentially get a kill that way.
Yep.
Although there's no other stat debuffs, so never mind. He would need one more stat debuff on Yokuni in order to pull that off. But you don't want to go losing your Neaten Master here. Your Neaten Master is going to be what closes you out the game. Scorpion's board is not really strong enough to deal with it. So I think Kiseki's number 1 target here is the Neaten Master, and then number 2 is Yokuni.
Yep. Which then means that this Neaten Master must block. But I think that's fine.
Dragon does still have, I do believe, 2 dice shows, 1 Pathfinder's Blade and 1 Katana in deck. So lots of stand tech available for that Neaten Master still.
Yep.
Which is just the nature of Dragon Crab with their myriad weapons. So yeah, I think if there's 2 ways Dragon can go about this. He can either not defend at all, in which case Hero Away and Shoju target kill one guy, or he could defend with both the Neaten Master and Yokuni, so that Hero Away can't pull in either. And if Scorpion plays Court Games, Dragon gets to pick which one he loses, essentially. And if it's Yokuni, even, Yokuni could actually buff himself up enough that he won't die to Shoju even with the Dishonor.
Yeah, he should have at least 1 Kitsuki's method in hand, right? We've already seen that this game.
Yep.
So he should be able to save whoever Shoju starts.
I think he can actually save either. He's actually not under any direct threat by either.
Right. And if Shoju targets 1 once, you can then just apply the Kitsuki's method and everything.
Yep. And the only way that character would die is if we see the 3rd Calling in Favors.
Yeah, which he does have.
Yep, he does have 3 of them, so it's possible. And we did see the Void Ring, of course. We're going back at Feast or Famine, which is an interesting choice. I guess he just doesn't want to give the Seeker Fate to Kai.
Well, and yeah.
He does have 7 cards too. He doesn't. Maybe he just values the 3 cards more than the 2 Fate on Hirowe. Sort of another reason to maybe not discard the duplicate of Hirowe. It just ends up being a Fate that goes to the Mechanica.
Yeah.
Could have the 3rd. Oh no, he's got a Pathfinder's Blade on Shoju, so he's safe.
Yes. Again, assuming that now with only 16 conflict cards left, there's not a let go somewhere in that 11 card hand of his, but yes. Again, assuming that now with
So it looks like an interesting defense coming out from Kai. Defends with both Yokuni and the Mendicant. I have to imagine Kiseki is going to use Hirowe and pull in the Neaten Master here. And try for the kill on it.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth pushing that. Again, without having seen a Tattooed Wanderer yet, you have to assume that even if you start to try and kill the Mendicant, that he can play a Tattooed Wanderer to still have a target for Feast or Famine.
I think, in general, that Neaten Master is a big threat to you. It's very likely that Kai has 1 weapon, but less likely he has 2 weapons. So by pulling him into this conflict, you're essentially using one of the Neaten Master's stands. So it means the Neaten Master won't be coming at you, attacking in 2 conflicts. We see Cloud the Mind go on Shoji right away, so never mind. All bets are off.
Okay.
Everything's different. So you're definitely pulling the Neaten Master anyway, just to force a weapon just to stand it later.
Yep, definitely.
And it'll be 9 to 10 in that case on board in terms of skill here.
Yeah, this will be a tough fight. If Scorpion pulls in the Neaten Master, unlikely to win it, but I don't think that he was really set out to win it in the first place. So
no, I think he was just trying to slow the game down. I think as the Scorpion player here, when you missed your opportunity to double break last turn, you're kind of in triage mode. You're just trying to basically not give an inch and take every inch you're giving yourself. So
yeah,
that's the game it is now. It's a game of attrition here. Looks like Kiseki is just going to choose to pass and just take the Void Win, force the Dragon player to commit to winning on defense before pulling in with Hirowe. And I like that play a lot. Because this way, you open up the option to just remove Dragon's board, which again, you're in this sort of critical emergency mode here. And removing Dragon's board means that if you can survive this turn, you are in a much better state next turn. So, and then if Dragon commits to the defense to protect its board, then you can pull in with Hirowe, the Neaten Master, and then lock up their ability to do much damage to you this turn. So either way, there's not going to be a lot of things. We see the 3rd court games from Dragon come out, being used to dishonor Hirowe. Attacker is still winning the conflict though, so Dragon's going to have to use the Stronghold to buff Yokuni or bring out the method that we talked about earlier.
And yeah, I think that's fine. You're shutting off his courtiers again, so...
Yeah, I'm not sure I really like the court games here, actually. Because that court games could have been used to honor your Neaten Master on a political attack for your first attack this turn. That makes him a
Yeah,
5/5, and then he has 6 with the favor, and then you can use weapons to ready him, and he'll be even stronger. And that's a strong way to try and close out the game.
yeah. But here we see the payoff.
Yeah.
He wants that policy debate.
Yeah, the policy debate does change things. I'm wondering what the mind games on these bids are going to be.
You talk yourself in circles with it.
Yep.
Wow.
So it was 5-3. So Dragon bid just enough to barely win no matter what. Scorpion ends up giving him 2 honor for the pleasure. And we have 2 Kachiko, Court Games, Forged Edict, Pathfinder's Blade, Bonsai in hand. I think you're gonna end up dropping either the Court Games or the Edict, most likely.
Yeah, the edict is off this turn, so I think you take Court Games. You know, it's the only card that he has in his hand that can affect the board without a body.
Yep. The Pathfinder's Blade isn't that threatening because you have, I mean, like, the game's coming down to an end anyway, so Feast or Famine's not going to have a lot of value, and Restoration he's not going to run into at this point. So
Right.
that Pathfinder's Blade is not super impactful. Kachiko can't be played right now, and won't be playable this turn at all, in fact. The Bonsai doesn't matter for this conflict, so yeah. I think that the choice here is definitely the Court Games, because that Court Games could be used to dishonor your Neaton Master.
Yep. Yeah, you don't want to give the Scorpion any way to. He's going to have one standing guy after this, and so allowing him ways to impact conflicts that he's not in does not seem very good. Make him play the Yojimbo. If you can get him to play an unassuming Yojimbo as a defender, stop a Blake, that's a pretty good fate expenditure, I think. The Dragon would be very happy with that. It makes Kachiko harder to play the next turn. So, he's writing it all down.
Just don't tell the FFG police.
The worst.
Memory is a skill. But anyway, this does tell us exactly what Kiseki has in hand, and means it's not looking great, assuming Dragon has at least some of the options that we know they have left. They can probably run away this turn, definitely break the 3rd province, maybe close the game.
Yeah.
You see the Court Games chosen at the end of the day. That was the right choice.
Yeah, so, yep, Dragon can win this conflict just by flicking the box, and then...
Yep. Although, if you flip the box, then I imagine the Master come in. Oh. We see the unassuming Yojimbo dropped in right now. I'm guessing just because you're afraid of a second policy debate, Dragon likely has one more in their deck. I believe he's running 3.
Yep. Yeah. So
it's a good move to play around that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the surprise is gone, right? So
Yep.
There's no reason he has covert himself, so he cannot be coverted. So get out on the board.
Yeah, it also lessens the military impact of the Neaton Master if they decide to go that way. And the Yojimbo does threaten a break with the Bonsai. And at this point, you might just go face check that Restoration of Balance. So we see Dragon does commit to the conflict win. I feel like you definitely just use Heroe now. Because Dragon knows you have nothing. You might as well rope in the Neaton Master.
Absolutely.
That's the only move Scorpion has left, I believe. unless they decide to bonsai.
So we should see the hook here. Presumably, Dragon will have one weapon to unbow the Needed Master.
Almost certainly. I believe they have 4 left in the deck, so. Yep, 4 left in the deck, so good chances.
Kiseki just passes.
I think he forgot.
Yeah, that seems like.
I see no reason to not pull in this Needed Master right now.
Yeah. Yeah, this doesn't
I think
doesn't seem great here. Now he can force a political water conflict with the Nita Master. That's going to let him unbow the Okuni. And he's going to have 2 pretty good conflicts still.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. I guess the Outcast is probably going to go on defense anyway. And you are less honorable than Dragon, so now it's a 3-3 again. Because earlier Kiseki was not less honorable.
It's a 3-3, but it's dishonored, so it's showing as a 2-2.
Yeah.
And then Neaton Master is showing as a 3-3 plus the favor is 4. And then knowing the hand, he has no way of, even if he defended with both, he can't stop the ring claim. So all he can do is hope to stop the break, but even then, we know that Kitsuki's method is in his hand.
I think missing that heroic goal might have been the game-losing mistake here. It's just a tiny thing, but I think that actually was it. Because now Dragon needs exactly 1 weapon to threaten winning the game. Because he's going to go political water here and force you to defend with the Outcast. And if I might even let it go, so that I force the Dragon to choose whether or not to bow the Outcast or ready Okuni. And then Dragon can play a weapon and ready the Neaton Master again, and then he's got a full board ready to go. You can't even Yojimbo past them. That's not great. At least if you did Hirowe, you force Dragon to have 2 weapons in order to have the Neaton Master go on 2 attacks. But with this play, it's dicey.
Yeah.
Maybe Dragon has no weapons. I think that's about the main out for this at this point.
Yeah, I think that's what you're hoping for here as the Scorpion.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little bit of the trickiness fighting Dragon right now. Just little mistakes like that can easily throw the game because cards like Neaton Master and to a lesser extent Sumiko are like so high power level if unchecked that they can just run over the entire game.
Yep. Yeah, they're so powerful at so many stages, right? I mean, I think a lot of people think Anita Master on turn 1, kind of machine gunning down provinces, but he came out on turn 5 this game, right? And it's still going to create that same amount of pressure and close the game out.
Yep. And Void was claimed this turn, so it's going to be around next turn.
Yep.
It's going to be a rough one still. Scorpion's definitely still on the ropes. Yeah, meanwhile, Dragon's just kind of sitting pretty.
Yeah, this seems like his game to lose now.
Yeah, I was just about to say exactly that. It's definitely Dragon's game to lose right now. Not to mention as well, the dishonor pressure is actually going to ramp up here soon. We're having 2 dishonorable characters lead play. If Dragon really wanted to, they could do some air pressure as a second conflict this turn. And bring Scorpion down to 1 or 2 honor and really just choke their hand down.
Yeah, I think, if he knowing what he has in the hand, I think that's a totally viable line. Taking a second ring as an air ring and just trying to grind him into the dirt. I'm a crab player, so that's what I like to do all the time. But
yeah, that sounds right.
In this instance, it actually seems fairly viable.
Yeah.
The fire ring is always tempting, right? I mean, being able to honor a Yokuni is pretty big game, but
I think right
we'll
now the
see. We'll
choice is
see if it
still
gets that
water.
far.
Water is just
Well,
so big
yeah,
right now.
certainly water for the first conflict.
Yep.
There's nothing he can do to stop you from then unbowing Yokuni.
Yeah, definitely political water looks to be the choice. That is absolutely the correct one. I would even go at the pilgrimage potentially here, if I feel confident in breaking it through the Yogo Outcast.
Yeah, I think that, again, as the dragon player, you now have all the math, right?
Yeah.
So
There's no pull buffs in Kiseki's hand, so it's just going to be the 2 to your 4 base. You need 3
yep.
more skill to break. So you have the method in hand, so you just need a ornate fan, and you're there.
Yep. Which it looks like maybe he does not have, as Secret Cache is currently highlighted.
Yep. That's got to be the only reason you'd go at Secret Cache here, is if you didn't have the ability to break otherwise.
Yeah.
Because that's going to give Kiseki a wild card to potentially throw at you.
Yeah, it'll give him something.
Something useful for sure.
Oh my god, he went air ring.
Oh, he's going for the dishonor pressure. Ugh.
Wow.
I don't like that. Water is so much more pressure.
Oh.
Like, take tempo first, then air.
Yep. Yeah, you're just...
It's still fine, I think, because you probably got a ready effect for the Neaton Master, but now, like, Kiseki has very little incentive to... Like, all your pressure's just gone. Like, you'd have so much more pressure if you broke this and readied Yokuni. You could just win the game.
Yeah. Well,
now Kiseki's good to chump block. Now his Yojimbo can convert past your Neaton Master on water. I guess it doesn't really stand much of value, considering this is the political conflict for Dragon.
Yeah, he can't get a ton, but we do know that he has a bonsai, so if his only goal is to not die this turn, really any body in the conflict with the bonsai is likely enough to survive.
Yeah, so this Yojimbo can definitely break. The Neaton Master will stand to get another conflict, but Neaton Master alone shouldn't be able to break the stronghold that's definitely entrenched position, right? No way, he's running public form. It's gonna be...
It's Night Raid.
Yeah, it's gonna be Night Raid down there, isn't it?
Yeah, which is...
That Neaton Master break is so easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he managed to defend the province.
He doesn't play Kitsuki's method.
Yeah. Didn't play the Kitsuki's method. Why? Maybe he's got
the only thing I can...
Daisho.
Yeah.
He's got to need the fate for Daisho. I think it's the only logical reason why. Okay, well, things are looking better for Scorpion if that's the case. Because now your Yojimbo can break and you're not in danger of losing the game. You are in danger of dishonoring out.
Yeah, and even if he has Daisho, what is the point of standing him if he has to go back
to break? Yeah. Well, the point would be you get unopposed. But
unless this is a water ring, which again it's not. So
yeah.
What do I know?
Water ring's not super high value at this point. It's just done. Well, we're gonna break this Feast or Famine with no Pathfinder's Blade, unfortunately. Oh no, wait, there's a Pathfinder's Blade in hand. Oh snap.
Yep.
So there will be a Pathfinder's Blade on this. Maybe we see a let go finally. I figured fire would be pretty good because you just need to get Dragon's Board under control. I just don't earn either. Their fated characters would be great. But he goes Earth. Decides he needs the cards. We see a Hiruma Skirmisher enter play, but We know Kiseki has a Bonsai and a Pathfinder's Blade, both of which will do it. So Dragon's going to have to throw attachments onto the Skirmisher to not...
He actually played the Skirmisher at home.
Oh, he did?
So he just doesn't want to lose
Oh.
it to the Earth Ring.
I see.
There's the Let Go. So he must have no weapons, right?
Yeah. Interesting. So it seems like Kiseki staying by a breath every turn. Keeping it going. This has been a game. And yeah, there's the Let Go. Kiseki has to Bonsai if he wants to get this break, which can be met by Dragon's Bonsai.
He's breaking.
Oh, is he? Oh wait, no, right. You're right. The Room of Skirmisher was played at home.
The Skirmisher's at home, so he's gonna break here.
Oh,
Feast or Famine is gonna resolve.
Yep.
To take the Fate, and then he's gonna crack back with the Skirmisher.
Yep, that's gonna be a dishonor victory for Dragon. That's something you don't see every day.
Yeah. Wow.
There is literally nothing Kiseki can do about that.
Nope. He has no fate.
Yeah, the only way he could have prevented that is by attacking fire instead of earth,
and honoring one of his.
And honoring one of his own guys about to play.
Yep.
I think that might have been the right move. Well, that's that. Should have expected it. There are 5 to 6 covert cards in Dragon's deck, typically. And we've seen exactly one Room of Skirmisher before this, so it's somewhat to be expected that there's more.
Yeah, I think, we didn't see a Tattooed Wanderer all game. That was the first Let Go.
Mm-hmm. Water wouldn't have helped you here, so fire was the choice.
Yep.
Like even if I wasn't considering the covert dishonor victory here, water would have, or fire would have let you dishonor one of Dragon's powerful board pieces. But if you were going to respect the dishonor victory condition for Dragon, then you'd just re-honor your Shoju or something.
Right.
And again, there was no weapon in Dragon's hand. Not using Heroic to pull in the Neaten Master would have prevented all of this.
Yes.
Yes, like with no playable weapon in hand. Or maybe Dragon still has the dice show but chose to play the Skirmisher instead because that's a win condition versus a not win condition. Yeah. Looks like Scorpion's board's going to get completely dishonored out here and lose 3 honor at the end of the turn, 1 honor for an opposed. That'll be game.
That is wild.
That is not how I expected this game to end. With Scorpion up 3 breaks. And Dragon staying on 2 and dishonoring Scorpion out. It's definitely a little antithetical to both decks' games plans, so. These are both very aggressive decks, and the game went like 5 or 6 turns.
Yeah, we started out pretty quick, and then kind of hit a wall. Scorpion had some good turns in there. The double 4 shame turn. Fate worse than death, buying a lot of time, but
yep,
the Dragon dishonor prevails.
No more reprieves to save Scorpion. Stronghold's already been used this turn, so that'll be that. Yeah, Earth was certainly a questionable, greedy choice, I think, overall, by Kiseki on that last turn. Fire was pretty safe, I believe. And would prevent you from being dishonored out like this. Granted, if you had to use the firing in that way, you're still in the same situation next turn. You just have a Yojimbo against a Mendicant, a Neaten Master, and a Yokuni. and Dragon likely cracks back at you with Earth as well. It's not great. But
It's not great, but
it's something. You live.
it's something. Yeah.
But overall, it was well played by both players. It was an awesome game to watch unfold.
Yeah, that was a great one.
I don't think there were very many mistakes, but I think the couple mistakes that were there on that last turn ended up being too costly to overcome.
Yep. Should
All
we
right.
see if we can drag Kai in here for a little
Sure.
post game?
We should probably just switch into one of the Discord channels, should we not?
I don't know how any of this stuff works, so I'll let you pilot that.
I don't have either of them on my friends list, so I wouldn't be able to end the call. I figured we just do. I'll shoot Kai a message and see what we can do.
Perfect.
He is Mirumoto Kai on here, right? We can also get Kiseki in here. I do believe he's on my friends list.
Hey, am I coming through?
Yeah, you're good, man.
We're good.
Awesome job. Congratulations on your win.
Well played.
Thank you. Dishonoring a scorpion. It feels big.
It was
The win for everyone.
it was certainly the unexpected win condition of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I already had in my head trying to get this guy, this final province out, but then whenever I saw the moment after it was the political, which one, policy debate that made it a vision for me. And it had some factors on it. It really depended on that final attack on his part, but
Yeah. Did you actually have a weapon in hand for the Neaton Master?
I didn't. I was tempted to dig for it in Mountain. If I didn't think that the dishonor condition was as potential as it was, I likely would have gone Mountain to try to dig for one.
Yeah, Kiseki, I think, made one mistake on that turn, which was to miss. He missed Hirowe's trigger. He could have used Hirowe to pull in your Neaton Master when you'd committed to winning on defense.
Yep.
And without
Yeah,
getting
I was
a weapon, that would have been a big deal.
I was ready to let go on Yokuni for that and to drag in his Yojimbo.
Ah, that would have been clever.
It would have still left me a little bit down, but especially with knowing that he had that bonsai in his hand, he would have been able to break one of my two in response. But yeah, that was the idea. Whether it worked or not, it would have felt fun.
Hey man, game was won.
Ooh,
So
I
it worked
know
out.
I made a few mistakes there. I'll be glad to look through the replay.
Yeah,
So
definitely feel free.
I gotta say, one, that was the longest I've ever seen a dragon game go without Lego getting cast.
I know.
And two, I'm really bummed out that I didn't get to see you high kick something.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I was threatening it several times there.
I was hoping for high kick on Kichiko all game. That's what I wanted to
Yeah.
see. After
Mhm.
looking at the list, it's like high kick on Kichiko, please.
Yep. I had them. They were ready for it, but it just never felt like the right moment.
Didn't need
I-
it.
Hey, that's glad to have it then. Oh, Yeah, thank you guys for casting it. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, man. A lot of fun.
Let me think. This is the first time I fought against a crab splash scorpion.
They're terrifying, man.
I don't like reprieve shoju. I mean,
It's like a Pathfinder's blade too. It's like
and
Dragon Light.
yeah, yeah. But not only can they play their own, they can steal yours. So in this matchup, I had 6 Pathfinders that he could throw against me.
Yep, and I think the Kiseki's deck is fairly heavily teched for the new meta.
Okay.
He's not running any policy debates himself, but he does run 3 calling in favors for this. So that would be a big deal against a meta full of Pathfinder's Blade, Reprieve, and Talisman of the Sun.
Okay.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, especially. And I feel like there's a lot of dishonoring himself in this one. I mean, I know that's obviously Scorpion, but it felt like I could limit his courtier games by just making sure all of his guys were dishonored. Was that kind of an anomaly in this game, or is that more norm? My matchups against Scorpion are not consistent at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty normal against a Crab Splash Scorpion. The deck is a lot more aggressive. It aims to use heavy covert and the extra ability to break provinces given Pathfinder's Blade and the like to just sort of play like Dragon's Game. But it does so through different means. It doesn't necessarily build towers as much as it just makes your guys ineffective in every way possible.
That makes sense. And seeing how wide his board was several points just gave me shivers.
Yep, it can get that way. And Fate Worse Than Death can be a big deal against Dragon, but wasn't as effective this game.
I was super hyped. Did I end up discarding one of his?
You just heard one of them turn 1, I believe, off an Earth Ring. It was pretty big.
Yeah, I was so glad to see that. I figured he had it. Sumiko was who I was trying to go for in that turn that I bought Yokuni, but I figured based on his spread that I couldn't chance it. I wanted Yokuni to be out there for other reasons.
Yeah, we were wondering about that turn. We were like, Sumiko here seems like really obvious, and then you know you're running through charge, so you could charge in Yokuni and the Neat Master as well, and push for a closer on that turn. But maybe you just didn't have it, or otherwise was held up.
I didn't see a charge. I was digging for that one too. So yeah, that was definitely on my fingers crossed list.
Yeah, I mean, if you just don't see it, you don't see it. That's what we concluded eventually. It was like, oh wow, seen like more than half of his deck hasn't seen a single charge. It's a bit unfortunate.
And one let go on that final turn. It was the last card that I had drawn.
Yeah.
Hey, you adapt.
That's it.
Hey, when your deck's 40 good cards, I mean, you're bound to have some good cards in the bottom part, right?
Right. Oh, still coming down off of that game.
Looking forward, it looks like next round is going to be Futurov with his famous Crane deck. I don't know if you've had a chance to look, but how do you feel about the Crane matchup in general?
In general, I feel pretty good about it with Dragon. I mean, generally, the style is going to be me making sure I get one more honored guy than him, or at least the same amount of honored as him, to try to shut down a lot of his above honor play. But I've seen what his style is. I've heard of it as the Chute style. So I'm anxious to see what he's got cooked up. I think that it's going to be nasty against Dragon, let alone any other clan.
Yeah, I do believe he teched specifically for Dragon and the like, or rather his style is rather effective against it because he's made it this far. And he's an excellent player as well, so that helps.
Yeah, I couldn't get that lucky, could I?
Yeah.
No, it's awesome though. I am excited. I like seeing newer decks. I like seeing especially people that made them, seeing what their take was on it. You know, what do they want? What do they end up digging for?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of decks fly around in Phoenix chat as well. It seems like everyone has their own flavor of Phoenix they like to play. Especially, there's like no confirmed Phoenix list.
Right, right. That's the thing. Like I'm waiting for Phoenix to bud in the same way that I've heard about Choots. Like something that's just now taking that nurture and actually blooming into something nasty.
Yeah,
I
I think Phoenix is just still torn, maybe slightly too many ways
mm-hmm.
to really come together as like a coherent strategy, but it's almost there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely get you there. I'm sure I'll come up against it a few times whenever we go to PAX. So hopefully I get my exposure there.
Yeah, apparently we're pretty popular. That's surprising to me.
Oh, the stream is?
No, the Phoenix clan in general.
Oh, the Phoenix Land. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like behind Scorpion in most polls, I think usually, or at least in terms of like counts as well. Phoenix is usually pretty up there.
Hmm. Okay. Well, cool. I mean, it's a weird matchup against Dragon anyway. And they make a few of my cards kind of invalid, but
Yukuni.
yeah, yeah, to say the least. Um,
Yeah,
but
against the Waves is probably the best card Phoenix has against Dragon, but
mm,
I find the matchup very difficult, so but
mhm.
always tense.
Yeah, I get you there. As long as it's exciting, that's all I care about. It's something to learn about.
I'm sure winning is pretty nice too.
I mean, yeah, added bonus, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Get to play more against high level people.
Yeah.
That's the real rub of it.
I'm glad to see that we already have a online league system set up where players can take it competitively, but not so competitively that it just causes a lot of drama or becomes sort of antithetical for newer players to join in. So
Yeah,
I'm really happy that Rega and the like have set up this league system, and it's been going really smooth.
you and me both. I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere close to the mid to upper range caliber that I feel like I am right now. I mean, without these tournaments, the exposure alone is huge. Let alone exposing to probably the most powerful players in the meta, at least people that are equivalent to most powerful, if not.
Oh, for sure. Lots of big names out there playing online. And lots of discussion I've seen coming up in other FFG games about online platforms and their place in the overall game, whether or not they're good or bad. And I think, personally, as a competitive player, I couldn't imagine a world without them.
Right,
It's
I
really
know.
hard to be competitive if you're just playing in a local scene.
Hmm.
Because you have to have other people who are really dedicated to try out lots of stuff and try lots of different things. An online platform just allows you to sort of figure things out and really understand the game at a level that is really difficult to pull off in real life.
Hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, Kai, thanks for coming on. Congratulations again on your win.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Joke.
Mm-hmm. And Joke, thank you for joining me on the cast. It was a fun time. Yeah. We had some ups and downs, and it was exciting.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for a better game.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Guys. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys. And thank you guys out there for watching.
Cheers.